Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back into the Bears Den, an NFL podcast with the Chicago Bears First Focus. I'm your host, Alex. And with Wild Card Weekend still going on, we've got the Rams and the Vikings tonight. Figured I'd come on here, save the Wild Card breakdown for tomorrow, and discuss why I think the Bears are greatly screwing up this coaching cycle, this coaching hiring process. So, first I'll get into it. Matt Eberflus, we know, was fired after Thanksgiving. And although Mike Vrabel was a personnel consultant and an assistant coach in Cleveland, the Bears could have started the interview process earlier than last week. The thing that really really pisses me off with the Bears, and we've seen this every coaching cycle, is they waste a lot of time for really no reason. When we listened last week to Poles and Kevin Warren and George McCaskey speak, Poles talked about how they hadn't started anything prior to this because they were using the time after firing Eberflus to lay out a plan as to what they were going to do, for this coaching hire. And to me, it's kind of like, how did you not already kind of have that in mind? I mean, once the team started collapsing, Eberflus got a long time. He got way longer than I think if many of us fans were in charge, he would have been given. He got many weeks. And so I feel like, you know, maybe not after the Washington game because they were 4-3 then at that point. Um, and it was a close loss. But maybe after the second or third loss after the Washington game, maybe you start formulating a plan of, okay, if this doesn't get turned around, we're going to be hiring a coach and this is what we're going to be doing. Instead of waiting until they fire the coach and then be like, oh, okay, you know what, now we got to formulate a plan. It seems like the Bears are always kind of in a reactive mode. They're never proactive in what they're doing. It's always, we're just going to go with the flow and we're going to figure it out. And that's not what good orgs do. Good orgs are always kind of planning ahead. If this happens, we're going to go down this route. If this were to happen, we're going to go this way instead. Not with the Bears, though. They're going to just take it a day at a time because they don't actually know what they're doing. Front office ownership doesn't know what they're doing. My next biggest issue that I have with the Bears, this hiring cycle specifically, is that we're wasting a ton of time with C-tier candidates. Mike Vrabel was an S-tier candidate in this hiring cycle, right? A proven head coach with experience who knows how to build a team, who will cut out the BS. And my dad has this theory that the Bears screw around and waste time on purpose so that they can say they attempted to get the S-tier candidate, but they don't actually want to pay him, so they're going to just screw around until he gets hired somewhere else. And then they can just say, yeah, we tried. But, he went to New England. Think about that for a second. But, I mean, when you look at the coaches that the Bears are interviewing, that have interviewed, that will interview, there's some great ones, right? Vrabel, they interviewed. Pete Carroll, Ben Johnson, Ron Rivera, who, I'm sure the fan base is split on whether or not he's a good coach. I think he's a good coach, has experience. Aaron Glenn, obviously, Lions defensive coordinator, pretty solid. But then you look at some of these other coaches, Mike Kafka, the Giants offensive coordinator. I mean, were the Giants a powerhouse this year? Anthony Weaver, Dolphins defensive coordinator. I don't think anyone was talking about how good the Dolphins defense was this year. Drew Petzing, the Arizona offensive coordinator. It's like, I'm sure these guys are great people, and potentially down the road they can be head coaches, right? I'm not writing these guys off. But what we saw from them this year was nothing great. So why are we wasting our time and then letting the good candidates get hired somewhere else, right? And then it's like Iowa State head coach Matt Campbell. Like what are we doing? What are we doing here, man? I get it. They want to cast a wide net, per the words of Ryan Poles. But you're wasting time. You're wasting time, and the good coaches are going to get swept up and you're going to be left with B tier and C tier coaches. And maybe that's what the Bears want, because the Bears are cheap. They are cheap. They don't want to pay the top candidates. And as of today, Mike McCarthy has been fired by the Cowboys. The Bears had requested to interview Mike McCarthy about a week ago, and that was denied. So are they going to interview him, potentially give him the job? I think that he would be a decent candidate, right? Could call it good offense. Bunch of winning seasons in Dallas. Obviously won a Super Bowl in Green Bay. I think that he could be good for Caleb. He knows how to build a staff, and he's obviously got a ton of experience. I think he would be a good head coach. And benefit with him would be that you can potentially bring in Micah Parsons. If Micah is a big fan of Mike, maybe won't be a fan of the new coach, whoever Dallas brings in. Maybe he'll want out, and maybe you can bring him in here, right? But it's like with the Bears, we're interviewing a lot of people that I feel like aren't qualified for the job yet. And it doesn't make sense. Don't just interview to interview. Interview people that you think can actually take the job, that can actually do well in the job. And that's why this is a loser organization. And I don't have faith in them to get this job right. And it sucks because the Bears have an elite quarterback, with Hall of Fame ceiling. And maybe you think I'm crazy for saying that, but Caleb can do everything on the field. He can do it all. But I fear that we're not going to reach that ceiling because they're going to mess this hiring up. Let me know what you guys think down below. How do you feel about these candidates that they're interviewing? I think it's pretty crazy. But yeah, I will see you guys in tomorrow's video breaking down the wildcard weekend. Bear down as always. Appreciate you guys tuning in. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. Really helps me grow out the channel. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.